I'll be back.
You're terminated, fucker.
The Terminator, the ultimate sci-fi thriller that launched a franchise and forever changed action cinema. But beyond those iconic catchphrases and that groundbreaking cyborg design, lies some mind-blowing secrets that'll have you questioning everything you thought you knew about this landmark film. Stick around because today we're diving into 10 weird and wild Terminator facts that sound completely made up but aren't. And trust us, you don't want to miss the bonus fact at the end. It's a time travel paradox all its own. 1. Cameron's fever dream creation. James Cameron created the Terminator during a literal fever dream while battling illness in a Rome hotel room. Broke and unknown, Cameron was in Italy working on the low-budget film Piranha 2 when he fell violently ill. During a nightmare influenced by his 103-degree fever, he envisioned a metal torso dragging itself from an explosion while clutching kitchen knives. Cameron was so disturbed by this vision that he immediately sketched it upon waking. These feverish drawings became the direct inspiration for the film's endoskeleton design, and the iconic scene where the damaged Terminator pursues Sarah Connor through the factory. When Cameron returned to America, he was living in his car while writing the script, often parking near the homes of friends who would let him shower. That revolutionary sci-fi concept that spawned a multi-billion-dollar franchise, it literally began as the hallucination of a starving sick filmmaker with nowhere to live. 2. Arnold almost wasn't the Terminator. Arnold Schwarzenegger was originally brought in to audition for the role of Kyle Reese, the human hero, not the Terminator. During their lunch meeting, Schwarzenegger kept talking about how the Terminator should be played, fascinated by the villain's mechanical movements and emotionless efficiency. Cameron was initially annoyed by Schwarzenegger's focus on the wrong character, but had a revelation during the meal. The imposing Austrian would make the perfect killing machine. The studio strongly objected to this casting, wanting a more conventional leading man as the hero and someone less physically imposing as the villain. O.J. Simpson was seriously considered for the Terminator role before Cameron fought for Schwarzenegger. When Arnold finally agreed to play the villain, he had just one request. He wanted his character to have fewer than 100 words of dialogue in the entire film, believing his accent might undermine the character's menace. That iconic movie villain who redefined screen antagonists? He was almost the hero in a casting decision that would have completely changed cinema history. 3. The Terminator's real military training. To prepare for his role as the emotionless killing machine, Schwarzenegger underwent weeks of intensive weapons training with actual military personnel. What makes this particularly impressive is that he trained to operate weapons without blinking during gunfire, an instinctive human reaction that's nearly impossible to suppress. Schwarzenegger spent hours firing blanks until he could pull triggers without flinching or closing his eyes. His dedication extended to movement training, studying the hunting patterns of predatory animals and working with a mime artist to achieve the Terminator's precise mechanical gait. During filming, he would avoid the rest of the cast during breaks, deliberately creating emotional distance that translated to his on-screen performance. Most impressively, Schwarzenegger practiced disassembling and reassembling weapons blindfolded until he could perform the actions without looking at his hands. That unnervingly perfect machine-like performance? It came from months of physical conditioning and psychological preparation that went far beyond typical acting methods. Number 4. The budget so low. It hurt the Terminator was filmed on such a shoestring budget that the production resorted to guerrilla filming tactics and dangerous cost-cutting measures. The movie was shot primarily at night, not for artistic reasons, but because permits for night shooting were cheaper. Several chase scenes were filmed illegally without permits, with lookouts warning when police approached. The production couldn't afford enough fake blood for the police station massacre, forcing them to reuse and recycle the same blood packets throughout the sequence. The iconic endoskeleton was built for just $75,000 using household items. The moving parts included windshield wiper motors and rubber bands. Most dangerously, during the scene where the Terminator performs self-surgery on his arm, the blood dripping down was actually a combination of milk and raw chicken fat that quickly turned rancid under hot lights, creating a nauseating stench on set. That groundbreaking sci-fi classic that influenced generations of filmmakers? It was created with the budget equivalent of what major studios spend on catering for a single week. 5. Linda Hamilton's twin secret, one of the film's most shocking visual moments, where Sarah Connor watches her exact double murdered by the Terminator, was achieved through an unpublicized casting secret. Linda Hamilton's identical twin sister Leslie appeared as her double. The production kept Leslie's involvement completely hidden from the media, and even from much of the crew, creating genuine confusion on set when both Hamilton sisters would appear. Leslie performed all of Sarah Connor's mirror scenes and served as the corpse in the apartment attack sequence. This twin casting proved especially valuable during the final factory chase, where complex shots required Sarah Connor to appear in multiple positions within the same scene. Cameron originally planned to shoot these sequences using traditional split screens, but the Hamilton twins allowed him to create more dynamic compositions that would have been impossible with a single actress. That seamless doubling effect that still impresses viewers today, it relied on the natural genetic duplication that only identical twins can provide. 6. The lawsuit inspiration. The entire concept for the Terminator stemmed from a bizarre copyright lawsuit involving legendary science fiction author Harlan Ellison. After the film's release, Ellison claimed Cameron had stolen elements from 2 episodes of The Outer Limits that Ellison had written. Rather than fight a lengthy court battle, production company Hemdale Film Corporation settled with Ellison, adding acknowledgement of his work in the credits of all subsequent releases. What makes this particularly interesting is that Cameron has consistently maintained he never saw the episodes in question, and the settlement was made against his wishes by producers concerned about legal costs. The irony deepened when Cameron himself later accused other filmmakers of stealing his ideas, creating a cycle of inspiration accusations that mirrors the film's time travel paradoxes. The creator controversy added an additional layer of intrigue to the film's legacy, with film scholars debating the true origins of its concepts for decades. That groundbreaking sci-fi movie that itself inspired countless imitators, its own inspiration remains a contentious legal and creative mystery. 7. James Cameron's stealth premiere attendance. When The Terminator premiered, James Cameron was so unsure about audience reaction that he secretly attended a regular public screening to gauge authentic responses. Wearing nondescript clothing and sitting in the back row of a packed theater, Cameron watched nervously as his creation unfolded before an unsuspecting audience. He later described the experience as terrifying, particularly during the slower exposition scenes where he feared viewers would lose interest. The defining moment came during the Tech Noir Club scene, when the Terminator appeared through the smoke and began methodically shooting victims. The audience erupted in screams and gasps. Cameron slipped out before the credits rolled to avoid being recognized, but called producer Gail Ann Hurd from a payphone outside the theater, saying simply, "I think we have a hit." That confidence in the film's success? It came only after Cameron personally witnessed ordinary moviegoers being genuinely terrified by his creation. 8. The deleted scenes that changed everything. Several crucial scenes were filmed but ultimately cut from the theatrical release, fundamentally altering how viewers understood the time travel mechanics. The most significant deleted sequence showed factory workers discovering the Terminator's crushed arm and damaged CPU in the hydraulic press, then having the items secretly transferred to a research division of Cyberdyne Systems. This direct connection would have explicitly established the time loop paradox, that Skynet's technology was actually reverse engineered from the very Terminator sent back to prevent its creation. Another deleted scene revealed Sarah Connor had been a waitress specifically because the job's irregular hours made her difficult to track, adding depth to her character's survival instincts. These scenes were cut purely for pacing reasons, but were so crucial to understanding the full story that Cameron incorporated them into the narrative of Terminator 2, making them retroactively canonical. That perfectly paced thriller that never slows down, it achieved its momentum by sacrificing explanatory scenes that would have made the plot's circular nature more explicit. 9. The famous line almost cut. Schwarzenegger's iconic "I'll be back" line, now ranked among cinema's most famous phrases,
I'll be back,
was nearly changed during production because of the actor's accent difficulties. Schwarzenegger struggled to pronounce the contraction "I'll" naturally and suggested changing it to "I will be back." Cameron insisted on keeping the original line, believing the shorter version had more impact. Their disagreement became so heated that the simple 3-word phrase required over 10 takes, with Schwarzenegger growing increasingly frustrated. Neither man could have predicted this briefly contested line would become the franchise's signature phrase, appearing in some form in every subsequent Terminator film and becoming one of the most quoted movie lines in history. Schwarzenegger later admitted the dispute seemed ridiculous in retrospect, given how naturally the line came to him in later films. 10. The robot hand built from junk. The film's most intricate special effect, the robotic arm used in the self-repair scene, was constructed from hardware store parts by a young Stan Winston on a budget of just $75. Winston, who would later become one of Hollywood's most celebrated effects artists, built the articulated hand in his garage using fish tank valves, cable controls, and kitchen utensils. The hydraulic movements were controlled by Winston himself, who lay beneath the motel room set operating cable pulls while being directed through an earpiece. The remarkable puppetry was so convincing that audiences in 1984 believed it was achieved through much more sophisticated technology. This handcrafted approach extended to the full-body endoskeleton, which was a mixture of chrome-plated plastic, actual metal parts, and stop-motion miniatures depending on the requirements of each shot. And there you have it. Strange, surprising, and absolutely true facts about the Terminator that even die-hard fans might not know. If you enjoyed this deep dive into cinematic history, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and remember, in the immortal words of a certain T-800, I'll be back. We'll see you next time for more movie secrets that are stranger than fiction.